In the small, close-knit town of Independence, Missouri, Pastor David Love was a man revered by his congregation. A devoted family man, a spiritual guide, and a beacon of hope for the troubled. His sermons spoke of faith, redemption, and the sanctity of life. He stood at the pulpit every Sunday delivering the word of God to a flock that trusted him with their souls.
We are all sinners, but through God, we can be saved.
But in April 2010, the tranquil rhythm of this devout community was shattered. A devoted husband, Randy Stone, a man who had been a close friend of the pastor, was found dead, shot in his insurance office. The police initially suspected a robbery gone wrong, but things didn't add up. The crime scene was too clean, too precise, and the pastor's eulogy at Randy's funeral, it was unforgettable. Pastor Love stood before a grieving congregation, his voice steady, his words carefully chosen. He spoke of Randy's virtues, his loyalty, and his devotion to his wife and children. Yet, there was something about his demeanor, a calmness that felt unnerving. Behind the scenes, investigators began piecing together a story they never expected. A trail of clues, a web of betrayal, hidden desires, and deadly secrets was slowly unraveling. And at the center of it all was the pastor himself. What if the man offering solace was the very man responsible for the pain? How could a trusted spiritual leader deliver eulogies for his own victims and face his congregation, knowing the truth? Do you think someone could live a double life so convincingly that even their closest friends wouldn't suspect a thing? Could someone like Pastor David Love truly hide their darkest secrets in plain sight? Let us know what you think in the comments below, and stick with us, because the truth behind this story is more shocking than anyone could have imagined. This is the story of a man whose words promised salvation, but whose actions condemned him. Stay with us as we uncover the chilling truth behind the life and lies of Pastor David Love. Independence, Missouri, a town that felt like the embodiment of small-town America. Quiet streets lined with neatly trimmed hedges, neighbors who waved at each other from across their porches, and a community bound by faith. At the heart of it all was the New Hope Baptist Church, a place where families gathered every Sunday to worship, to celebrate, and to heal. It was a sanctuary for the weary, a place where burdens were laid to rest. The man leading this congregation was Pastor David Love. To those who knew him, he was more than just a minister. He was a trusted confidant, a mentor, and a voice of comfort. Known for his deep baritone voice and a charisma that could light up a room, Pastor Love wasn't just the spiritual leader of New Hope Baptist Church. He was the backbone of this community.
Let us always walk in God's light, where there is no room for shadows.
For years, David Love cultivated a reputation as a man of unwavering faith. He officiated weddings, baptized newborns, and delivered eulogies for those who had passed. His words were often the balm that soothed the grieving hearts of his congregation. To many, he was a living example of God's grace.
Pastor Love was the kind of man you could count on. No matter what, he was there for you.
But the quiet streets of Independence were hiding more than friendly neighbors and Sunday potlucks. For one family, the connection to Pastor Love would take a tragic turn. And for a congregation who had placed their trust in him, the truths that would soon be revealed would leave them questioning everything they thought they knew. David Love was a man adored by many, but for Randy Stone, a faithful friend and devoted member of the church, his loyalty to the pastor would prove fatal. And the reason? That was something no one in Independence could have predicted. Have you ever wondered how well you truly know the people closest to you? Could someone live among us for years, hiding their darkest intentions behind a mask of kindness? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And as we peel back the layers of this story, pay close attention to the details, because nothing is as it seems. Randy Stone was the kind of man everyone admired, a devoted husband to Teresa, a proud father of two, and a successful insurance agent. He was a man of faith and integrity. At New Hope Baptist Church, Randy was more than a congregation member. He was family. Known for his quick smile and generous heart, He was often seen volunteering for church events, helping those in need, and sharing quiet moments of prayer with friends.
Randy was just a good guy, always there when you needed him, no questions asked.
To Pastor David Love, Randy was more than just a friend. He was one of his most loyal supporters, a man who believed wholeheartedly in the pastor's guidance and teachings. The two families often spent time together, sharing meals, laughter, and stories of faith. But on the morning of April 8th, 2010, everything changed. Randy's body was discovered in his office, slumped over his desk. He had been shot twice at close range. At first glance, it looked like a robbery. His wallet was missing, and the office appeared undisturbed. But the precision of the shots and the lack of any forced entry raised immediate questions. News of Randy's death spread quickly through Independence. Shock rippled through the town. The devoted husband, father, and friend was gone, and no one could make sense of it. At New Hope Baptist Church, the congregation was grief-stricken. They turned to the one man they trusted to guide them through this tragedy, Pastor David Love.
We must remember Randy for the man he was. A man of faith, a man of love, and a man whose legacy will live on in all of us.
Standing at the pulpit during Randy's funeral, Pastor Love delivered a eulogy that brought the congregation to tears. His words painted a picture of a life well lived, a man whose devotion to his family and God was unwavering. But as Pastor Love consoled Randy's grieving wife and children, questions lingered in the minds of some. How could a crime so calculated, so cold, happen to someone like Randy? Little did they know, the man offering comfort and prayers would soon become the focus of their deepest suspicions. Was Pastor Love mourning the loss of a friend, or hiding a deadly secret? What do you think could make someone betray a friend so completely? Could loyalty and trust blind us to the truth? Share your thoughts in the comments and stay with us, because the layers of this story are just beginning to unfold. After Randy Stone's tragic death, life in Independence, Missouri seemed to return to normal. The community mourned, the church prayed, and Pastor David Love continued to guide his congregation. But beneath the surface, a disturbing pattern was beginning to emerge, one that no one wanted to see. As investigators combed through the details of Randy's death, subtle inconsistencies began to surface. There was no sign of forced entry at his office, suggesting that Randy may have known his killer. And then there were the ballistics reports, evidence that pointed to a carefully chosen weapon, fired with precision. It wasn't random, it wasn't chaotic, it was planned. And Randy wasn't the first person close to Pastor Love to die under unusual circumstances. In the months leading up to Randy's murder, whispers of infidelity and secrets swirled quietly through the congregation. Friends and acquaintances recalled hushed conversations, unusual absences, and a tension that seemed to linger between certain members of the church.
I remember thinking something felt off, but you don't question your pastor, do you? He was like family.
Then there was Teresa Stone, Randy's grieving widow. Struggling to cope with her husband's sudden death, Teresa leaned heavily on the support of Pastor Love. Their bond, already close, grew even stronger in the weeks following the funeral. Too strong, some might say. Rumors began to spread quietly, rumors of late-night meetings, whispered conversations, and a relationship that seemed far too intimate for a grieving widow and her pastor. As investigators dug deeper into Randy's case, Teresa's behavior drew their attention. And the pastor. His involvement with Teresa seemed unusually personal. They began to wonder, was this just a widow seeking solace, or was there something far more calculated at play? There were whispers in the community, but no one dared to question their pastor. After all, who would suspect a man of God? A man whose entire life was built on trust, faith, and compassion. What would you do if the person you trusted most became the focus of your darkest fears? Could you confront the truth? Or would you turn a blind eye, hoping for the best? Let us know in the comments below. And stay with us, because the answers to these questions will change everything you think you know about loyalty, love, and betrayal. Randy Stone's death was initially treated as a robbery gone wrong. But as detectives dug deeper, the pieces of the puzzle simply didn't fit. A respected businessman in a secure office, no signs of forced entry, and nothing stolen except his life. For seasoned investigators, these details were too clean, too deliberate. Authorities began retracing Randy's final days. Interviews with friends, family, and colleagues painted a picture of a man who seemed happy, grounded, and deeply committed to his wife, Teresa. But the deeper they dug, the more they uncovered cracks in the facade. Randy had confided in close friends about concerns in his marriage. He suspected Teresa of having an affair, but he never revealed with whom.
He said something felt off, like he was being pushed out of his own life, but he wouldn't tell me much more than that.
Teresa Stone's grief had seemed genuine in the days following Randy's death, but her behavior soon raised questions. Phone records revealed frequent late-night calls and text messages to one person: Pastor David Love. Investigators began to scrutinize their relationship, the closeness, the comfort, and now the undeniable evidence of constant communication. It wasn't adding up. Then came the first major break in the case. During a search of Randy's office, detectives found a discarded bullet casing, one that matched the caliber of the weapon used in his murder. But that wasn't all. Forensic testing revealed a partial fingerprint on the casing, and when they ran it through their database, it wasn't Randy's. It wasn't a stranger's either. It was Pastor David Love's. Suddenly, the narrative shifted. Investigators now had physical evidence linking the beloved pastor to the crime scene. But the question remained, why? Why would a man of God, a trusted friend and spiritual leader, kill a man who considered him family? The answer lay in the relationship between Teresa and Pastor Love. Text messages recovered from their phones revealed far more than words of solace or spiritual guidance. They uncovered an affair, one that had been simmering for years, and with Randy out of the picture, the path for their future together was clear. Or so they thought. One small detail, a fingerprint, a misplaced bullet casing, or a careless text message, was all it took to unravel the web of lies. What do you think drives someone to cross such a dangerous line? Is it love, desperation, or something else entirely? Share your thoughts below and stay with us, because as the investigation deepened, the truth became even more shocking. On a quiet spring morning, the peace of Independence, Missouri, was shattered by an image no one in the community ever expected to see. Pastor David Love, the man who had prayed with them, cried with them, and guided them, was being led out of his home in handcuffs. The news spread like wildfire, leaving his congregation in shock.
I just couldn't believe it. Pastor Love? Arrested for murder? It didn't make any sense.
The charges were as stunning as they were damning. First-degree murder in the death of Randy Stone. As details of the case emerged, the betrayal cut deeper. The man they trusted most was accused of plotting and executing the murder of his best friend, all to continue an affair with Randy's wife, Teresa. David Love's trial drew national attention. In a courtroom packed with reporters, friends, and grieving family members, the prosecution laid out a case that painted the pastor as a man consumed by greed, lust, and deceit. Evidence of his affair with Teresa was undeniable, with hundreds of text messages and emails revealing their plans for a future together, plans that Randy's presence had obstructed.
The defendant used his position of trust to manipulate, deceive, and ultimately destroy a man who considered him family.
The testimonies were heartbreaking. Randy's children spoke of their devastation, their confusion over how their pastor, someone they trusted like a second father, could betray them so deeply. Teresa, now exposed as an accomplice to the crime, testified as part of a plea deal, revealing the chilling extent of their affair and David's motives.
He told me we could finally be together, but Randy was standing in the way.
But perhaps the most gripping moment came when David Love himself took the stand. In a measured voice, he admitted to the affair, but denied any involvement in Randy's murder. His calm demeanor only fueled the prosecution's narrative that this was a man capable of hiding dark intentions behind a mask of righteousness.
I loved Randy like a brother. I would never hurt him.
The courtroom was stunned when investigators revealed another layer of deceit. David Love had been embezzling church funds for years, using the money to fund extravagant gifts for Teresa and cover his tracks. It painted a picture of a man who was far from the humble shepherd his congregation believed him to be. As the trial reached its conclusion, the jury deliberated on one haunting question. Was David Love guilty of planning and executing Randy's murder, or was he an innocent man caught in the storm of his own sins? The answer came after hours of tense deliberation. David Love was found guilty of second-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison. For the congregation, the verdict was a bitter pill to swallow. Their beloved pastor was not the man they thought he was. And for Randy's family, justice brought little comfort to the void left by his absence.
I just hope my dad can finally rest at night peace now.
What do you think drove Pastor Love to commit such a devastating betrayal? Was it love, power, or something deeper? Let us know in the comments below, and stay with us, because the final chapter reveals the lasting scars of this tragedy on a community that trusted blindly and paid the price. The conviction of Pastor David Love sent shockwaves through the small town of Independence, Missouri, and far beyond. A man once seen as a pillar of faith and morality had been unmasked as a manipulator, a deceiver, and a murderer. For the congregation of New Hope Baptist Church, it was more than the loss of their spiritual leader. It was the shattering of their collective trust.
He wasn't just our pastor, he was our friend. How could someone we loved so much betray us like this?
For Randy Stone's family, the pain of his loss was compounded by the knowledge of who had taken him away. Teresa's role in the crime left their children caught between grief and confusion. How could the people closest to them, people they trusted the most, have conspired to destroy their family?
My dad loved her, and she helped him die. I'll never understand it.
The congregation of New Hope Baptist Church was left to pick up the pieces. Some turned away from their faith, unable to reconcile how a man of God could commit such atrocities. Others stayed, determined to rebuild their community despite the betrayal. For many, the questions lingered. How could this happen? Were there warning signs they missed, and could it happen again? David Love is now serving a life sentence for the murder of Randy Stone. From the confines of a prison cell, the man who once preached salvation now faces the consequences of his own sins. Teresa Stone, who cooperated with authorities in exchange for a reduced sentence, was released after serving just a few years. But for Randy's family and for the town of Independence, the scars left behind may never fully heal. This case forced a community and a nation to confront uncomfortable truths. How could a man entrusted with so much faith and power betray his flock so deeply? And how do we protect ourselves from those who hide their darkest intentions behind a veil of righteousness? What do you think the lasting impact of this case will be? Could the signs of betrayal have been caught sooner, or was Pastor Love's facade too perfect? Let us know in the comments below.
We'll never forget what happened, but we have to move forward. That's what Randy would have wanted.
Faith, trust, and betrayal. The story of David Love serves as a sobering reminder that appearances can be deceiving, and that even the most trusted figures are not immune to the darkness within. Thank you for watching, and if you found this story compelling, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more true crime stories that challenge everything we think we know about the human condition. Until next time, stay safe.